I'm going to show you how to use the Breville on easy mode. No gear, no faff, no scales, none of that stuff. The Breville on easy mode. So either you've just got your machine or recently unboxed it and you just want to make some quick espresso to make your cappuccino, latte, flat white. In that setting, the perfect espresso isn't as important because you're cutting it with a lot of milk. With a cappuccino, it's almost twice as much milk as there is espresso, and with a latte, the ratio is even higher than that. We're going to run through this on easy mode, no fancy gear, no faff, no accessories. You'll need your portafilter handle with the double shot basket, single walled, so that's the one with many holes on the inside and just as many holes on the outside. Dosing collar, and special tool that came with your Breville, the razor. In addition to that, you're going to need an espresso cup where you roughly know the volume of 30 to 40 ml. And I'm going to ask that you have your phone so that you can use your timer. You'll of course need beans in the hopper and water in your tank. Some of the basic settings on the machine for easy mode, you have your grind amount, and this tells the grinder how long to run for. You're going to set this all the way to max. The filter size is asking which basket you have in the portafilter. We're going to set this to double. When it comes to the gauge of the pressure in the middle, the gray zone is what they tell us is the espresso range. From what I can tell, the gray zone starts around 7 bar and ends around 12 bar. 9 bar pressure is somewhere around 11 o'clock on the pressure gauge. And lastly, the grind dial tells the machine how fine to grind the coffee. My machine came set at 8. I'm assuming yours also came set at 8. There's an internal setting which we're not going to change for now. But right now I will tell you the secret to great espresso. Actually, it's not much of a secret. Cat's out of the bag already. The key to good espresso is good beans. Fresh coffee beans, preferably roasted within 4 weeks. However, fresh coffee, especially specialty coffee, is quite expensive. And assuming you just paid somewhere between $800 and $1,000 for this machine, it may not be in the budget to buy such fresh coffee. So let's assume we have supermarket beans. Learn more about water and coffee beans in the beginner's guide that I created, linked in the pinned comment or the description below. So what's the plan? How do we get this machine to go into easy mode? Coffee or espresso has a lot of variables to it. Things like the amount of coffee going in, the amount of water, the amount of espresso coming out, the temperature, all kinds of things. We're not going to be playing around with many of those things. The only thing we will be playing around with is the grind size. The amount of coffee we're going to keep standard, not with the scale, but actually with the razor. So this razor fits into the portafilter handle and will tell us if we have too much or too little coffee. Too little coffee in the basket will lead to low pressure, probably some channeling, a fast shot that runs too quickly, probably producing a sour espresso shot. Too much coffee in the basket creates too much pressure. This will produce a slow shot and might make a bitter espresso shot. But we have a secret weapon, the Breville dosing razor. This blade will tell us if we have too much or too little coffee. And if there's too much coffee, the blade actually helps us by removing the excess. Now, the reason for the timer is that we're going to time this shot. When we hit that button, we're also going to be hitting our stopwatch. We'll be aiming to get our espresso shot in about 30 seconds. The volume we're looking for is that 30 to 40 ml that's measured in our espresso cup. We have beans in our hopper, water in our tank. Start that machine. Flashing means the machine is warming up. It will go steady when the machine's ready to go. If this is your first time turning on the machine, or first time in a long time, I suggest you run a blind shot, or at least 2 blind shots. That would be no coffee in the basket. Lock that in the portafilter and run 1 or 2 shots through the machine. Now that you've run a blank shot through here, we just need the portafilter to be dry before grinding any coffee into it. We'll attach our dosing collar. This goes into the grinding segment here. This has a saddle that the portafilter and dosing collar fit into. At the back is a trigger. All that's required is you tap the portafilter once. It'll activate and run automatically. As mentioned, we have this set for max, and we have the filter size telling the machine we're using the double basket. And my grind size is 8, which is the factory setting. The tamp should be level and parallel with the countertop, so flat. Press until the coffee stops moving. And now we'll use the razor to see if we have too much or too little coffee. So it's hard to see probably, but it's telling us that we have slightly too much coffee. It's lifting a little bit of the coffee up. I'll finish this over the sink, and now I'll just polish off the top. I won't tamp it again, I'll just polish it off. So now we've fixed the dose, and this will always be the dose of coffee that goes in here. We're going to put this in the espresso extraction side, and we're going to activate our timer on our stopwatch at the same time that we activate the 2-shot button. We're looking for somewhere between 30 and 40 ml, which for me is between these two lines, in about 30 seconds. So here we see the pressure is actually quite low, and we're done in 16 seconds. So this was way too fast and low pressure. You could taste this if you wanted to, but I suspect it'd be quite sour. Very sour. This shot came out way too fast. There was not enough pressure, did not reach into the gray zone, and it was quite sour. This tells us that the grind is too coarse, and so we'd have to dial grind size down or finer. You could go down by 1, but this was very fast. So instead of going from 8 to 7, I think I'll go down by 2, so 8 to 6. One tip I'll give you is that when dialing finer, consider activating the grinder in case there's a bean stuck between the upper and lower burr. This will allow it to freely dial lower. We have our new grind setting at 6, and we're going to run our next shot to see if we can get 30 to 40 ml in about 30 seconds. It cuts in just a little bit. Again, I'm going to finish this process over the sink. This time the pressure did get almost exactly to 9 or 10 bar, but we got our shot in 19 seconds. So a little fast. Probably we could grind a bit finer. Far less acidic, far less sour, but I don't have any of the sweetness or chocolate that's promised on the bag. To get 30 seconds and 30 to 40 ml, let's grind down one more notch on the grind dial. I've created a workbook for anyone who just started with the Breville Barista Express. You can find it in the pinned comment below or in the description. I put a link. We'll check with the dosing razor, and actually this time it barely scrapes the top, just removing a little. One thing to note is that the Breville does not have a front-facing water indicator, so you have to check every now and then to make sure there is enough water in the tank. And we're good. So that was 25 seconds and just over 30 ml. Not a bad time frame. So most of that acidity is gone, hint of sweetness and some cocoa in there. That's a lot better. The pressure on this one went almost to the end of the espresso range. It ran just a tiny bit fast. I don't think I'd fiddle around with this anymore. There is an internal setting here that allows you to go a bit finer on the outside dial. But if we're just making a quick milky drink like a latte, cappuccino, flat white, this would do just fine. So now let's frost the milk and make us a milky drink.